Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm newtmechanist, and today we are going to be diving back into our game dev project. Last time, we did a bunch of the game screens. Got a little bit more of kind of the shell of the game flow. Load the game, get to the start screen, go into the game, lose the game, go to the, game over screen loop kind of thing. Still needs a lot of the guts put into that, but that's kind of the framework. Today we're going to be working on some of the loading, fix a little bug there, and then we'll figure out from there. I see Tass has joined us. Hey there, Tass. Let's see. So the problem with the loading code that we had, let me just switch in here. Let's check in with the kitties. We do have Sky sleeping on the side there. Ember is actually over on the shelf side, not in angry loaf position, so I'm not sure what prompted that. Her spot is clearly empty. Mason over there snoozing on the bed. Molly is on my footrest. And as per usual, Sherbet is hiding somewhere. Switch on over. So the problem with the loading code had to do with the way that we want to do modability. So ultimately, what we want is the ability to add and override files. And just prior to this, we made it so that the file load was asynchronous. And that really revealed the problem to me, but it was ultimately there before that. And that's that... hey there, JCR. Welcome back. Welcome back. Sip a beverage. So ultimately, the problem is that the overrides have to happen in proper order. So the example I gave is if a file, let's call it X, if file X contains a reference to file Y, and these are in the base game files, then when we're constructing the library, a copy of object Y will be loaded into object X. We could do this differently, but this reduces back and forth travel to the catalog for duplicate data. If I subsequently try to override object Y, the problem will be is the default object X is already loaded. That version of object Y won't be part of it. If I ask directly for a Y, I'll get the new version. But I would not have that in any pre-existing stuff. And it gets more complicated as you add different layers of overriding, because different pieces could be overridden at different times. How we're going to change this is we're going to add an extra stage to the loading process. The first part reads all the files. It's going to go through and in like mod folder sequence. Ideally, there would be a load mods in this order kind of system. Perhaps a mod dependency indicator. But in any event, load the folders in sequence. And what we're going to extract from the files is the name of the object, so the identifier, and its data. Currently, since we're using individual JSON files, the name of the data is its file name. It's, no file type, no file path, just file name. We will store that in a collection as the raw text of the file and its name. Once we have that loaded, we're going to continue through all of the files, overriding any entries that we find. So if we encounter a duplicate, like if we encounter that override to Y, we'll stomp on the prior value. We continue doing that until we have them all loaded. Then we asynchronously iterate over the data in the files. So there will be one portion where we're doing file I/O, and then another portion where we are doing the actual parsing. I wonder if that will make the loading cleaner. because we won't have a file. Each task won't be sitting there with a file open. I don't know if that'll really influence it, but touching the file system isn't free. We'll see if that matters. But we're doing it anyway. All of this is code that I kind of preliminarily put here for when we switch over to a CSV style catalog. Maybe that'll be something we get to today. Instead of having many, many, many individual files, we will have big files that can contain lots of stuff. I would use just a generic CSV, but there are so many different variables involved. That's kind of what we're dealing with, Tass, is I'm going to have a base folder that we just say, get this data. The danger with doing anything other than doing the overrides up front is that we can, at that point, we need to get them in order. And even if we do that, we'd have to find any time that we reference them and update that reference. Again, we could dodge most of this problem if anything that contains a reference is just a reference and it fetches it upon duplication. So it's not until I create an instance of a template that I have that. That does create kind of a parallel data structure inside of the objects, though, where the template version has to store the properties. That's not impossible. Not even remotely impossible. But I don't know if I want to restructure things that much. Because if we do them by reference, then it doesn't matter. We can just, load this mod when it's done, load this mod when it's done, load this mod. And we don't have to care about any sort of order. But if I do this preload, where I go through the mods in sequence and essentially do the overriding in that dictionary of the loaded file contents, then I don't care about the order again. I can do the asynchronous stuff it into the catalog. Is it ideal yet? No, there's still more we can do. But the operation during the file read is very small. Pop open file, iterate line by line, stuff into a dictionary. Should be pretty quick. Also, hello, Lore. Hello. And for those joining, if you're not familiar with the coding process or really what we're doing, feel free to ask questions, but there is no assumption that you understand anything that's going on. It is a mutual learning and chat stream. Yeah, your file read is going to block for a while, Lore, given the amount of data you've got. We could essentially task that off pretty easily. You just have to... you're just going to want to have something that indicates that you're doing something in the background. Oh no, yeah, that would cause a problem. Breaking your iteration will definitely cause a problem. I suspect, though, as you expand upon your data pool more and more, you may run into some oddities as far as how much you are loading in and what you're doing with it. Especially if you start doing things like loading images simultaneously, you'll be hitting the disk on the reg, during that part. But easily addressable. If you're not familiar, Laura's also working on a game. There's several folks that have joined the channel that are doing a little bit of game dev themselves or just experimenting with stuff. Again, no expectation that you know how to code or what we're doing at all. Okay, so right now we iterate over. We essentially go into our directory structure and say, "Give me all the files. Give me all the files that are in this directory recursively." And then for each one, we call this read file, and we're calling this one asynchronously. Ultimately, what we're going to be doing the general same thing. But instead of actually doing file IO here, we're going to move that elsewhere, and we're going to change this from a file path into a data line in a key. So this is going to go in and say, okay, I'm going to try to make a catalogable. Instead of from a file stream, we're just going to give it a string and say, try to do something with this string, and try to do it until you can't. Until, well, ultimately, eventually, we are going to add a bailout to our async process. A cancel token that inside of the loop it will obey, and if the processing hasn't started yet, it just won't start. It'll cancel it. We want to do that because if there's a break, if there's a problem in the data folders, instead of just sitting there and having the program effectively frozen at loading, we want to be able to bail out and say, your files are broken, fix these files, kind of thing. This named item in this file doesn't work. Okay, so let's go into our catalog. It's where it lives right now, but I think, yeah, we're going to do this in 2 stages. Public static async task. And we're referencing the catalogable. We're returning it here, and the catalog is loading each one as it goes. We're going to move that over to this. Well, I'm happy you're enjoying it, you two. Happy that you're having a good time. And I did see on my Twitch list, it looks like Parakeet / James snuck a Twitch Bits thing in yesterday. Maybe it wasn't yesterday, but it looks like it was yesterday, and I didn't notice at the end. Or I didn't notice when they did it. So if they're present, thank you. If not, hopefully I will remember when they show up again. So Twitch added a thing called a celebration that you can do, which is largely just a, throw confetti on the screen kind of event. I don't mind that it exists, but the problem is most of the tools that read the API don't know what that is. It seems to have a separate message. So most of my tools can't see it. I will have to check and see if there are updates that would let me do that, but eventually it's on the pile, to-do list. So we're going to have a read files here. And in read files, this is where we're going to take a file path. And let's see, we call this that is when we are getting we're just going to call it... We'll take file path. We'll take file path. We'll do the footwork in here. So now we need our base catalog. That's where we're hiding some of that logic. We're going to take the whole lot of this. We're not using 90% of this at the moment. Actually, we just need you. There, that one. So again, these are for when we start to get into the data. This little bit is to say when we're reading a delimited file, this will be like, this is the identifier and class type. The first two columns will always be that. Every subsequent column, though, is a key value pair set. So it should be in twos. And so we'll read them in like that. And then we feed them to JSON after we have constructed a JSON string from them. Once we have that system in place, we're going to be reading over each file. We open the file, then we iterate over each line, create JSON for that, and that's what we'll put in this identifier dictionary. But for now, we're just getting a file and getting its contents. Because I don't have the CSV completely written yet. But once we have that, all of our data could be in one big file if we wanted. Alternately, we could have like a big file for all the behaviors. The reason that we're doing key value pairs in our CSV... It's amazing, isn't it, Laura? It doesn't take long to get started. Most of the time that you don't understand something in programming is because you haven't encountered it yet. So we have a data path here. Now we need to get the file read bit from this. Are we still using these? Let's find out. What did I break? Okay, nothing. We aren't using them. Excellent. All right. This is what we're calling get directory file contents, which is ultimately this. Now we have a search pattern here. We're going to bake that in because we only want one type of file to be our data container. Could I have others? Yes, but if I have others, we're probably reading them different. This doesn't count the images. The images get loaded in their own way. So this search pattern, we're going to make you a string over in the catalog file reader. Technically we have that, but we're not going to use it. Not going to use it yet. I did that because you can collapse comments that are in that are either single line comments that are adjacent to each other, or when they are in a multi-line comment chunk. So I don't have that giant block of comments that I'm trying to dodge around. Like constant string, search pattern, semicolon. I do. Private members? Provate. We'll just have it be public. It's a constant. It doesn't matter. Okay. Search pattern lets us specify what kind of file we're looking for. In the prior iteration, you could see that it was .text. We're going to change that. We also made it an optional param in the method. That is, it had a default value. You don't have to pass a value in if you are going to use the default in that case. There are other ways you can do that, but by putting it as a default in the signature of the method, then you can see that in things like IntelliSense or in the predictive text here. It is useful. You're going to have that. I'm going to go all over them. Okay, we're going to do pretty much all of this with a notable difference. Okay, all these things are... We're going to change you to... file that. We're going to get our search pattern here. Going through these. Who's crying? Amy, why are you crying? She was just standing on one of the little scratching things and just yowling at me. She does that occasionally. Molly will definitely do that occasionally. She'll be sitting across the room, like opposite side of the room, staring at me, and she will cry. And of course I have to look to make sure nothing's wrong. And then I will see them just staring at me. It's very much a, hey, acknowledge me. All right, going through these. This is the folder we're going to get all of the files out of. This is the search pattern we're using. So, like, I want all files that end in .txt in this case. So Sky is still the worst for this. Molly has more kitten energy than him, so she gets into stuff. But Sky is the one that's most obnoxious about it. He's chilled out, but it's largely because I don't put anything that he can reach out in his reach. What he would do is, if he was frustrated with me, he would get up on a shelf next to an object he could move, and he would look right at me, and he would do a little chirp. The secret to protecting the object he's standing next to was to not look at him when he did that. Because if you looked over there, the minute you made eye contact, the moment eye contact happened, he would launch that thing off the shelf. He would keep eye contact and he would chirp at you again. It was kind of hilarious. Okay, so this one we're doing iteratively. We have to do a full await on each task inside of this. Afterwards, we're going to async. File in files. We are going to await read file. And read file we're going to adjust here. And that will give us two things. So read file is going to have it's eventually going to iterate. So having an out for ID doesn't help us. No, it will. It will. Okay. Okay. String to string. Donald, today we are modifying the file load again in order to fix an overriding oversight in the whole process. And once we've got that, either I am going to branch into updating the files to read a CSV instead of the individual JSON files, or something else. The best behaved cat? That is... I would say that's a three-way tie. Actually, close to four. Sammy and Ember and Sherbet are not troublemakers. At all. Ultimately, I think Ember. She is the chillest cat and also generally the friendliest. Sammy and Sherbet are only a step behind her, and that's because they won't let me clip their claws. I can get Sammy occasionally, but Sherbet will fight. Sammy used to fight. And I've managed to get one paw on Sherbet. I've had so much trouble, his claws are fully hardened. So he doesn't shed them near as often. And they are little death razors. I'm happy he's not the type that is swingy. When Sammy would fight, she is swingy. She is not afraid to draw blood. The first time I tried to clip Sammy's claws, I was bandaged up to the elbows afterwards. It was painful. Sherbet, primarily, he'll just run. He'll run and hide, and he is good at that. Let's see, we're going to call you all file contents. So that's actually going to be a string. No, this is an ordered list, which will just be a list of dictionary string to string. Wow, that's completely butchered. All file contents. New. There. Okay. So this is going to be an ordered sequence. We could do this as a queue. We'll do it as a queue. It doesn't need to be a queue. We're going to iterate over it in order, but we're treating it like a queue. We will be operating as if it's a queue, so we'll make it one. This will contain the contents of each file. We will smush this down. Do we need to smush it? Oh, man. No, okay. Okay. This is still just a dictionary of string to string. We got this. We got this. New. This is the combined one. This is the one that we will have all of them merge into iteratively. Each of these will be a toss that in. No, we can just return it. Then read file will be a task that returns a dictionary string. All right. So what we're doing is for each of the files that we get inside this folder, and the folder is the important part because the different layers of override are in different folders, always different folders. And we load them iteratively. So ultimately what we're going to get here is an extra layer of these. Yeah, I've gone through several iterations with the background music, JCR, trying to find things that work consistently for me, and the mellow music works consistently. Some of my older streams, you will find great variation in the music. There was a period where we had a lot of chiptune inspired music. A little more varied. I mean, they weren't doing full chiptunes. We had a lot of funk for a bit. I do still like it. A particular variety of funk. Low vocal. Slightly less discordant. But we've had a lot. Okay. We get the dictionary, and then for each of those elements in the dictionary, for each key value pair, string pair in file contents, do a thing. Breakcore does not sound familiar. I think there were some that I didn't mind that were categorized as vaporwave. I have trouble distinguishing some music genres and terms. I joke about it. I've joked about it before that there's a point in describing music where, strangely, all of the terms are kinds of terms that you could also use to describe, cookies. Crunchy music. Only Armored Core I've played is the most recent one. Fast-paced drums and cymbals probably wouldn't be my thing. It's kind of I'm not big on breakbeat kind of stuff. Or there was a type of techno that was jungle something. Kind of a syncopated drum kind of thing. Wasn't my thing. The rhythm that creates, I don't like. But when it's not soothing music, I like a heavy beat. Okay, so for each thing that we get out of read file, we are now going to try to load it into all file contents. My audio library, albums that I have purchased, varies wildly. We have stuff like this. We have very like fast-paced like dance music. Got, let's see, some of the kind of like, you know, epic tracks for movies kind of stuff. I think I've got a whole set of like jump style Euro Euro stuff. Just I find that it's less of particular genres and it's more of particular instances, because a whole genre is very wide. It is akin to saying that you like Souls-like games. What do you actually mean by that? Like, what part of them do you like? You know, are you saying every element of anything that could be considered Souls-like? Or are there particular parts or particular things that kind of speak to you? You know, break it down further. It helps you find stuff that you like, if you do that. Yeah. I may switch it up periodically, but I've actually found this is great. It doesn't matter what I'm playing, this is great. It just works. But that doesn't stop me from switching it up. Okay, yes, things. Not contains, it contains key. There we go. Okay, so if it's there, if it's not. I can actually make this more concise. If it's there, remove it. Then we always add it. Okay, so we get a result back after we're waiting for it. It's done. We load it in. We do that for each one of the files. In theory, we could do this whole, this lump right here. Like, each of these could be async. And we could wait for them. Going to cause problems further down in this, but don't care. Add run okay. Mandatory, unskippable, roguelike 50-hour farming slow life sim marathon minigame. Not yet, Lunar, not yet. Okay. So what this should do is say, try to load these as quick as you can. I need a mutex here. I would need a mutex here. But if we just get the file contents and add them to a list, once again, we're going to make a dictionary of string to string called file contents list. That is that. And we are going to take this part out here. Get to that in a moment. I think we can safely do this. Because it's not going to like it if we try to mess with all file contents asynchronously. Each dictionary all right. Then for each of those, we iterate over and we get all file contents. So we have created a list of every file in this. It's if there are duplicates within the default, we have a problem already. That's kind of okay. If I were to make multiple files and within those files I have duplicate identifiers, that's on me. We could have a Boolean which would be like, do we allow overrides in this process? By default, we would. When we load the base file, we are going to say that this is false. Yeah, we'll start with false. There's no guarantee there are mod files. This is a... Now we need the else case. This is... If we allow overrides, we are going to remove and add. Gotta get the logic here. So if we allow overrides, we will remove and add it if it's there. Okay. Else explode. We'll come up with a new exception for this if I remember. This should never happen. And path. We could be more precise here. If we were to make this a dictionary, we could put it by file. I'm sorry. In file contents list. If I make this a dictionary by string, then I know which file it's in. And I should. For the astute viewer, we have looped back around to this. We have waffled, I say. All right, for file, we add those in. So now we know which file it's in when we're doing this, or we will. That is actually... kind of lunar. It's a dictionary container is key value pairs. So in this case, I am identifying them by string, and it contains something else. String, we are going to add it in there, and then we are going over individual file contents, and we're getting that. Value, and then this would be we will just use file contents.ee. This way too. Okay. If we are not supposed to override it, then we're going to say this key is wrong, and it was when we loaded this directory, which would give us like a mod file path. We should never get a mod file path. But it would tell me in whichever one of these directories I just loaded, and in which file it was. Okay. That's file contents pair. We're gonna change you to file pair. Not really file, but this is then the file contents pair. Okay, yeah. This is each file we've loaded. Thinking. Okay, let me think through this again here. Okay. Hello there. It said Philo, like the dough. But hello either way. Hello, Ember. Come here. Come here. There you go. There you go. Ember has come to sit with me. Delay by cat. Okay. You're from Brazil, huh? Well, welcome. We get folks swinging in through Brazil periodically. Okay, so every file, we are getting its contents. And we'll change this once we're reading lines. Yeah, this is as if we were reading lines, but reading the file contents right now, we're going to get one thing. So a key and the content of that key. So these are items. These are actual catalogables. Which means we can change still just data right now. It's not yet a catalogable. And these are the contents of each file spread out over the file names. So we're getting each of the catalogables in here. Then we're going to load each of them into the catalogable list. Ember, 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 sweetheart. If you, we have so many different objects in play here that it's taken me a moment. So what that tells me is that I need to go through and add some comments here, because there's enough complexity that it is not self-evident code. There will be people that tell you that all of your code should intrinsically be self-evident, and those people are wrong. Especially when you get into nonsense like this, your code isn't going to be self-evident. it can help to explain at least what is this function intended to do? What is this line intended to do? Because if for no other reason than somebody reviewing the code, or even future you can say, this man was insane. That's not what it does. Generally, the people that say that are the same ones that say things like, IDEs are crutches. You should be doing all your coding in text editors and command line compile. I, for one, am happy that I am no longer writing my own compile scripts. What was the Invader Zim line? Miss Bitters, can we use one of our crazy cards to send Dib to the the town crazy house for boys? Are you sure? You only get one crazy card per month. Yeah. Coding was better back when we used punch cards. I mean, there are places for low-level code. Game engines where you are dealing with very low-level graphics card interactions and similar. Even when you're dealing with shaders, sometimes you have to do tricky low-level memory manipulation, that kind of thing. And those are places where you should have comments around them that say, for the love of God, be careful when you touch this. Because those are your most dangerous places, because they rely on very specific knowledge of the place you're messing with. Actual memory manipulation, that kind of stuff. But sometimes you use high-level functions that are vague in what you want them to do. No, it is data ready to parse into catalogables by catalogable ID by for each file by file name. Okay. Then code comments can be hilarious. Every now you will occasionally find the passive aggressive or overtly hostile lines about other coders. You will find comments that are effectively, I have no idea what this does, but it works. I have encountered lines that are effectively, do not remove this or everything breaks and we don't know why. I encountered that where the thing that you couldn't remove was the comment. There had to be a comment on that line or the compile process would break. That should be impossible because normally a comment is replaced with a no-op line in the actual compiled code, or just as often, that line is skipped. Uh, but apparently not in this case. Exactly, Dots. Comments are not supposed to do anything. Um, it is that equivalent of, you know, I changed some code, and then I changed it. Like I changed some code, and it didn't fix the problem. So I removed the proposed fix, and suddenly there was no problem. I say explode because exception handling is inconsistent at best. Okay, so now we have a collection of the actual file data. We're going to clear out our task collection. We can just say we empty our task queue. We're done with it. I'm going to say for each we value pair string to string. Actually, we have ads running, so we're going to take that moment to get a quick break in. And we're back. We discovered Sherbet was hiding in the little hutch under my footrest. And it took me an extra moment to sit down because I have to thread my feet around Molly when she's sitting on my footrest. Sitting there has precedence. Yes, hello, Ember. Come on. You gonna sit with me or no? Hmm? Okay. So then for each string pair, which we'll just call it pair in files, no, in catalogable data, we are going to do this. But this needs to be a task. We're going to have to do that differently too. Okay. Once more into the lambda nonsense. Asynchronous lambda function. So while I don't like them, we're doing them. Some kind of Google is training their AI in YouTube videos. Yes. There are companies that are training YouTube AI algorithms on everything. And it means that we're going to start seeing weirder and weirder stuff. Though in an interesting note on the generative AI front, the kind of things that like YouTube video training would lead to, Disney is suing Midjourney. Hey, White Wolf. Day's been pretty good so far. Played a little pre-stream Helldivers, got in here, and we're rolling with the code. Task.run. Well, the rest of your day is good, White Wolf. Yeah, generative AI has always been on the precipice of the fair use consideration. There's already precedent being built up out there that is putting Midjourney in a bad position, and they're already in a bad position because Disney's lawyers, you know, the legion of devils that they employ for legal work, has now been unleashed upon them. Well, Philo, I appreciate it. I hope you end up enjoying the streams. Okay, what options we got? We should have one for a string, right? Yeah. Right? Stream or... Still wants a stream. Can I make a stream from a string? Can be a reader. For a file. We got two of them. There's always the possibility that we'll get Sky and or Sherbet there. But we have the two that like the bed. We have Sammy and Mason. Sky is getting a drink. Molly is still snoozing at my feet. Sherbet could be anywhere. I'm not sure where Ember has gotten off to. Let's find out. Let's do a full scan here. Ember completely MIA. Ember position unknown. She might be looking out a window. Have other options. I mean, we're going to deserialize to a type. Document. Okay, we might not be able to do the async here. Yeah, okay. But that's okay. We're already in an async thread, so. Now, we want to still be able to use our options here. I don't know why I did that. It was meaningless. It wants a string, and then our options. Yes. And then this is going to be pair.key. We won't actually need this once we're doing the CSV, because the catalog name will be part of the data that we're parsing. So we'll be able to load that in as part of the object, but for now it's okay. And, you know, maybe we'll need it still. We had a weight in here somewhere. Where did we put that? Yeah, right there. Okay, task.delay. So once we do this, we need to add it to something. Oh, okay. We're going to try to add to the catalog. I think we added a mutex in here. Yeah, okay. We need an add to catalog. Because we have this. So we have a static right lock that we've got. We need to reference that right lock. And I think wrapping this in a method in the catalog is the way to do it. Catalogable content static? It isn't. Catalogable. Okay, so the catalog will have a right lock on it. Okay. Doesn't equal null at this point. Then we're going to set that, and then we're going to say services catalog add catalogable. Public override. We need our actual catalog, which we hide right there. It's a virtual function that does nothing. Which then in our base we have add catalogable. Oh, well, hello. It's Ayan? Welcome, and thank you for joining. The base level of membership, you have access to the channel emotes now. And again, this is true on Twitch and YouTube. There are channel emotes that you get access to for the base memberships. But welcome, welcome. I appreciate the membership. We have add catalogable, then we're going to go in here and we're going to say add catalogable, if we have it. But we need to check how we were fully doing this. If it's not null, else we wait and we'll loop. Okay. We need to do while. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy with how it turned out, and as per usual, when a new person references it, here you go. There you go. That is the full model. Okay, so we need a do while around it. Oh. Set to null, do that. That's right. While it's equal to null, continue. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as we have succeeded in creating one, we proceed. But this lets us say, I have this string, try to deserialize it. If you fail, which is this, else. Now we need the delay, so we don't just spin. Okay. We're adding lots of comments into this because it's easy to lose track. So we'll fail to parse if any of the dependencies are missing, like you can't parse an entity if any of its behaviors aren't loaded yet. So if we succeed and get one, then we're going to add it to the catalog. And that does have a mutex on it, so it can take a moment to get that. Can we... Is that asynchronous? Is that capable of being asynchronous? Okay, no, it'll just sit and wait. That's fine. That's still fine. Okay. So we're going to call into read files, and we're going to pass in the directory path. Hey, Pandora. Welcome, welcome. We're working on our game dev today, if that wasn't apparent by the screen. We are in the midst of a complicated rewrite to the file loading system to fix a flaw in the iterative load that would allow for easy modability. We want to make it easy to override existing objects and replace existing, add new objects and override existing ones. But to do that, we have to proceed with a steady dance here. Okay, so we're going to pass in the directory contents. We're going to say you can't override in this. No duplicates. So we're going to get all of the files in the directory, however many I put in the data folder. Then for each of those files, we are going to get every entry out of it. So we're going to call read file. We have to write read file next. so that we have to rewrite it so that it emits a dictionary of strings and file content strings. So file name, file content string. We add those up, we've got them. Then we wait for all of that to be done. Then we're going to parse over that entire content of each file collection. And for each of the values in each of the of each of the dictionaries, we are going to say if you need to override, and you're allowed to, so if we already have it and you're allowed to override, then swap them. Yes, and this is a blocking segment. Actually, await task run async. You know, last time I said I didn't like lambdas because they messed with readability. I am trying to learn how to make them readable. We're getting there. We are going to wait for this task to complete. I think we actually need test.run, but we need to... Yeah. An actual function that returns a task is the same as doing this. That will be a good cleanup iteration while we go. We can move you up. We don't need that collection of tasks to stick around. Okay, it's okay that this runs synchronously because we're going to throw that off into another process. We're going to let the rest of it continue while we're doing this. So the UI thread can continue here. We won't block the app. Then, for each of the things that we have generated here, we are going to pretty much all of these task.runs could be a async task return like this one. And we may do that in just a moment. Just getting it all written down. It will also make this function way more concise. Hello, Sherbet. Hello. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Come here. Some scratches and a bit of chin grooming here. So we are making a game. We're making a, at the simplest level, we're making a Bullet Heaven style game complexities here. At the moment, what we're coding is loading code. I am delayed in coding that because I am occupied with a cat. There you go, bud. I'm sorry. Sherbet is prone to skin acne. I say this a lot, but he's prone to skin acne and chin acne, and every now and then I have to deal with it. And he is never thrilled by it. Hey Drew, welcome, welcome. We are multi-streaming, so if I am speaking with somebody that you can't see, be aware that's what's happening. Inexplicably, well, I don't show chat on screen because people can't be trusted. And because Twitch doesn't allow it. At least for multi-streaming. Okay. So for the content of each file, we're adding to it. Go through, and until we manage to load it, we loop on that. So we need to get read file. Where do we have read file? We are doing okay. Await read file needs to return a dictionary of string to string. The proto-nano type definitely has, hardwired and wireless access to networks. There is a lot of code talk. Do not be concerned about that. It's okay to chat, ask questions outside of code, ask questions about the code, about what we're doing. Yes, we are using Godot. We are coding in C#. So we are using which one? We're using Godot 4.4.1 at the moment. Currently, it won't run. We're getting close to being able to run again. Okay. So we don't get a file path anymore, right? No, we still do. Yes. Okay, we are going to get a file out of this. So we're going to get a file path. We are going to read that file. We open the file. We are not going to get a catalogable out of it. All we care about is to get the file content. So we are... And it's not the catalogable name that we care about. Verifying. We need a... File name is... that. Which means we don't actually need file name. What we want is you. I hit a button accidentally. Okay. We need to get the file name without extension there. Each of these is going to be the name of the object. Oh, it has been This week has been good. We are making progress. We are making progress. It's the catalog name, but we already have the catalog name. But that's not actually the name. Okay. At the moment, read file needs a catalog name, because ultimately it's going to contain a list of everything that is in the file, in a CSV. But at the moment, it's not. So we are going to have here. Equal to that. That. And then we need catalog name down here. We don't need you. So if okay, we're doing it twice. It's wasteful. But we don't want to pass it in because we're not ultimately going to do this. Path. Path. Going to create a dictionary here. It's a string-to-string dictionary. Earn contents. If the file exists, we then proceed to read it. Read all text, so we don't do that, and we don't do that. I believe this is going to block until it can read, but since we're only touching it briefly, that shouldn't really be a problem. We don't do this, we're doing that elsewhere. Add, catalog name, file contents, return contents. So again, what we're doing here is largely... Is there a different option for this? We would need to give it the encoding of the file. Interesting. Wait. Okay. We're going to wait until we can read the contents of the file, if the file exists. then we'll add it. Then we're going to return the contents. This gives us what we need all the way back up here. That will give us a dictionary of the file contents, which we will subsequently add into the catalog. We wait for all those tasks to be done. Then we begin a separate task, which is to merge those collections. We are only doing this as a task so that we're not blocking the UI during this mess. Then again, we run through and do a task which is to deserialize this content using the strings and load it in. It can take us a while to do this. But since we have already dealt with duplicates, cough cough, since we've already dealt with duplicates, there should be no contention aside from the write lock. The write lock shouldn't even be necessary because, again, there are no duplicates. But just in case, we're going to do that. Actually, during a given file load, duplicates are never allowed. You should never have an override inside a given folder. Subsequent runs can override, just straight up, period. So if it contains a key, then we explode. That's it. It's never, you can never duplicate within a given run. All right, let's do some cleanup. We've already got our read individual file here. We're going to move this up. Should fit up here. So we are awaiting the read file. Okay, and then we are waiting for all of these to complete. We can wrap that, but we've already got read file wrapped. We could change read file to be doing this whole thing. Yeah. So for each, we still want to break this up into individual tasks. So we're still ultimately going to be doing something like this, where we are adding to this list. This could create write contention. This could create write contention on this. I think this is okay because we're waiting on an array of tasks. We have separated this out because it's a big operation, but this is still, I think, concise enough. Because we want to wait for all of them to be done. We don't want to we don't want to have an await in a loop. We don't want them to be done essentially sequentially. So we're going to queue them all up at once. This is a problem. mutex. X. What can it do? Initially owned. We don't want it initially owned. Okay. One. This mutex. The right one, right? Yes. Okay, wait your turn, go. Then this one, I think we can have an async task and just await it, which is going to merge file contents. Can't be a protected static. This is a let's see. Welcome to anybody joining. We are in the midst of rewriting some file content, file reading. We shouldn't be calling this. It can still be a static, though. That's okay. It should be able to be a private static. Cool if we could do protected static, you know. Yep. Yeah, we can. In case I want to do overrides. But, oh well. Same task. Just a task for a dictionary of, what are we doing? We are editing a dictionary, but in this case, we can return a dictionary that results from that. So it's a dictionary of string. String to string. Individual. Spelled it. Individual. Contents. It needs to take something like this. And then we need a change the name on that. We're just going to give it a single name here. In file pair. Okay. And then we return catalogable data, which will be merged files. So instead of this one, we are going to say catalogable data is equal to await, merge, individual file contents, individual file contents. So now we also don't need to worry. Okay, no. Okay, we mush that together. This one we are trying to do many things at once. This one we just don't want to block on a long loop. A potentially long loop. This is another one that I believe we can merge. Because we just want to do all of these things. So this will be a private static task catalog. This will be a dictionary of string to string logables. Glad you're having a good time, JCR. Glad you're having a good time. What time is it? Oh, we're making progress. We're moving. Moving. Check a couple of things. Status check. Yes, okay. We are making progress, show. We are indeed making progress. This is where we actually load to the catalog, which will be this lump here. We missed a bit. We need a for each in the data. This is going to be, these are individual tasks that we're going to run. So we're still going to do this per instance. Yeah. So it is not that. This is just going to be a key value pair. Catalogable ID, string, catalogable data. That. Then right here, this is what we're going to replace. So this is not pair.value, this is catalogable there. It's not that, it is catalogable ID. Async task. So then for each of these, you're going to say task.add. We don't need a task.run on it, do we? We should just be able to do load catalog there. Need a task.run on it? Can we do that? It's not that one that we're replacing. This one that we're replacing. And pair.value. I think we still need a task.run here, right? Wait. So this is going to return it's an encapsulated task, though. Because we want to wait on multiple of them, I think we still need to do that. Token. I think we still need to wrap this. Would we do this? Oh. There we go. Okay, still lambda, still very compacted, though. Because again, we want to wait on multiple tasks here. This one is just a single shot. We're waiting on one big thing. But we want to parallelize this. Okay. Then in base catalog, we are no longer doing this here. no longer calling get directory file contents and waiting on that. We are instead in catalog file reader. Catalog. I do read files. Anywhere. We'll mush this further as far as the catalogable file reader, but for now, we're going to pass data path into it. Okay. We have made non-trivial changes. Added a method there. We added a ton of stuff here. And we've ripped out a lot of stuff here. First try, come on. Loading. Okay. We're in. Make sure everything is functioning. Engage spam the screen mode. Definitely working. I do still need to figure out how to merge these without them going bonkers. But I think some of that is just the speed that I've got them rotating at. If we try to do a rotate in on that, it goes completely berserk. Okay, it's functioning again. So show the gimmick of the game as far as the difference in the weaponry from things like Vampire Survivors is it's modular. So the things, they're kind of obscured by the part of the HUD here. These things that I'm adding here, this is split into 3 and then split into 3. I have 4 of them. So it's going to process these from left to right. It's going to say, okay, first it splits into 3. Then each of those splits into 3. JCR, that is the original Catbot. If you look back at previous factory broadcasts, you can see that was used for broadcasting. Then into 3 and again. So what'll happen here is that this will fan out into 3 in 90 degrees. Then each of those will, each of those will, and each of those will. So we have 3, then 9, then 27, then 81 of them being emitted at once. Then we add this in here and says each of them will bounce an additional time or multiple times. And then when the projectile is done entirely, like when its life ends, it will explode. Because it takes this following object here and says, do that. We can make those So if instead of exploding, we say every second emit an explosion, we get this. Now we can see our frames per second above my right ear there dropping. We're down to 24 frames per second and 18. I mean, I feel like above 10 is pretty good for what we're doing. There are currently about 16, let's say 1650 objects on this in existence. Oh, no, we're plummeting further. Now, some of that is because we're infinitely generating those little red glowing dots that you can see on the left of the screen there. So those aren't going away. Let's make it a little more chaotic, shall we? Go faster. So now, because the projectiles are moving faster, the explosions are being spread out further. They are still living longer because of the bouncing. We can slow that down by removing the extra bouncing, so they'll only bounce once. And thus, if they hit a slime, they're more likely to go away. So we can see the frames per second climbing again. It's getting a little higher because the yarn balls don't live as long. Are incapable of living that long. We can make them weirder by doing that. We'll add some homing behavior in there, where they try to move at an enemy target, which also makes them speed up most of the time. Laura's referencing, previously on the stream, we used to play almost exclusively Noida. That's the game where the core of our weapon model that game is the inspiration for it. There are other games that do it, and have done it since, but we're going to do it too. So right now we're at about 8 frames per second. There's a lot going on at the same time. And back in the Noida days, we had a joke that was seconds per frame and eventually minutes per frame, where we would be doing something so ridiculous, so process intensive, that you can get a crash. Speak of the devil. This is an Area 2D. Attempted to read or write protected memory. Okay, we blew it up good. One thing we may have to do to protect against this is to do some caching. We're creating so many things so fast that I think we're reaching a point of... we're overloading it, let's say. So if we buffer this, we might be able to get away with more. That's its own can of worms. We'll get back around to that. But like I said, we were creating 81 objects per second. More than that, because there were slimes and whatnot appearing per second. And each of those objects, every second, would emit another object. And they were doing... Let's see. They were rotating twice and homing. So there was 3 non-trivial calculations happening at once. The area that it failed was in Area 2D. In the creation of that. Area 2D is in the Godot side, and it is when we are constructing an object that we're doing that, when that yarn ball comes into existence. If instead of building it right there, we built some of those in advance and said, okay, this object is going to have a cluster of its Area 2Ds ready to roll. So when it makes them, we don't have to actually create new ones. We'll have a pool of them ready to go. That is not entirely safe, but we could probably get away with it. It has flaws. Do we have them here? Oh, okay. No. That's in Collision Manager. So in Collision Manager, we would actually be able to get away with this. Collision logic, node-based. So here's Entity Collision Area. This is where we are building some of this. Hey there, Dwarf. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, we are just past a breakpoint, so forgive me, Dwarf. We're gonna step away for a couple of minutes, then we'll be right back and into the coding. And I'm back. An additional thing Laura was referring to in our code was, or in the history and background of the lore of this game, is in the Noida mod, these little guys would appear to represent viewers in the stream. And one of the things a viewer could do was have their little robot self-destruct. Again, there's a little background lore to this game that will appear that I'm not going to spoil just yet, because I think it's going to be fun when we incorporate it. But the robots could be blown up for a couple of reasons, and one of them was to call down an orbital strike, which was a fan favorite. You could do beneficial things, but the try to kill the player was more popular. But when we are building these here, within the entity, I could have like a static collection within the collision area. I could have a static collection of things like this that I just cycle and use, so that I'm not rebuilding them super fast. Like right here, make a new one, add it, make a new one, add it. We could say get one from the collection, and the collection has, wrapper around it to say, if there is one, use it. If there isn't one, add one to the collection and keep going. So eventually we could have lots of the different shapes. Well, collision shape 2D, and then we would have individual shapes. Like right now they're all circles. It would be good if I could add those under the hood. But for now, we're just going to look away from that for the time being and address it when it explodes later. Should this be documented and put on a backlog for further review? Yes, it should. Are we gonna? No, we're not. Okie dokie. Let's get that committed so we don't forget. I'm pleased. Okay. So I was considering doing CSV loading. And we could do that. But that is also going to be a lot of text entry. Let me see what we got here. One moment. Rummaging through folders. Really annoying that that Godot wants to incorporate translations on its own. Can I stop it from doing that entirely? Freeze, maybe? No? File system. Blender path. I'm looking through available settings because I want Godot to ignore particular elements. Like, I don't want its import tool to mess with particular folders. Like, I want it to leave them alone and just add them as is. Yeah, it's going to see a CSV, and it's going to want to try to do things to it. It's going to create a bunch of import files that aren't relevant. It's okay with text files, but I don't want to catch the text files in the dragnet here. Okay, interim concept. Interim concept. Processing. Folder. It do be like that sometimes. It do be like that sometimes. Okay. If I keep it as a text. I don't want to keep it as a text. Okay. We are going to fiddle with this further. That's okay. Okay, so now we're going to go into the CSV data folder. Did you see that little bar appear? That was Godot doing something I don't want it to do. Right there. So, you see, well, maybe you can't see. It's tiny. But game data.type, game data.value1, game data.value12. These are translation keys for the headers in my files. You know, I don't need them. But the problem is it's going to do that for every single string in my files. I don't want it to do that. I would need to come up with a different translation infrastructure for this. So we go in, we say it's a CSV. I don't want you to touch anything. Why you do this to me, Godot? So I don't want it doing this. The problem is, if it does this, if it translates anything, there is the possibility that it messes up a key value pair. And that would be bad. So there's got to be a way somewhere in Godot to prevent translation. Import settings, re-import as keep file, but how do I do? We could use a different extension, but then in any sort of spreadsheet file program that I use, I have to keep telling it that it is a comma delimited file. If it's a CSV, it assumes it's a comma delimited file, which is not necessary, but it's tedious otherwise. Okay, can I just re-import? Obnoxious. Because this can't happen. I cannot have this happen. Okay, here we go, as a keep file. Get rid of that. Means data CSV. Excellent. Done. Okay, what this gives us, it's okay that there's an import file. Let's see, separated by, comma. Oh, actually, we need to make sure I am using comma. Behold, Notepad++'s CSV kind of extrapolation system here. That's colorful. What it's allowing, though, is you can see color matches here. So key 1 lining up with texture 1 there. I don't plan on editing in Notepad++, though. I just want to make sure that all of the... that is the proper delimiter. Why you do? Interesting. It got a different file association suddenly. Neat. Don't do that. Comma delimited. Medic. Okie Ta-da! Let us show what's going on. This is the key of the file. This must be unique. This is a type. This is what JSON will look at and tell which class to load. After that, all of these are property name value pairs. There's some further song and dance I could do with this to ensure that they're in the right format and structure, but if I parse this properly, that's a big ol' if. If I do this properly, then I don't have to worry. These kind of things can be trouble, but effectively what I do is I know this is a key. I can just extract that key. This one goes in a very particular format. There is a $ type value that this must be loaded into as a string. We know how to work that. All of the keys get wrapped in quotes. Then you put a semicolon. Then you put whatever the value is, as is, in the string. If it's got quotes, it needs quotes. If it doesn't got quotes, don't give it quotes. This is one of the problems of trying to use default CSV handling, is it really wants to wrap values in quotes. I don't want it to. That would be bad, because this is not the string false, this is a Boolean value false. I could change it to an integer and have it be 0 or something like that, but then I have to deal with that. And I don't want to. So what we're doing here is we have the bullet explosion texture. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to remove that texture, but load this file. But first, we have to get CSV loading in, that kind of thing. What we're going to do for that is we're going to start having a secondary function that I'm going to call instead that will add an intermediary that will be used as an intermediary if it ends in .csv instead of .txt. And we'll remove the check. We'll remove the default search string because the only things in the data folders are going to be CSVs and text for now. So we're still going to use that as is. There's our get, there's our add for our texture keys. So we need to go into our file reader. We will be using these now, which means we're going to be using some of this mess. We won't actually be using the cancellation token, though. We don't need that yet. So I don't want to account for it. Do that, and we'll eat you. Oop. You up. Get rid of that. That was kind of a prior pattern. These are shorthand for saying, like, put this in quotes or set up a key value line. So here's the value, here's the key, spit out the value key, value colon kind of thing. It should never happen, but it's an in case it happens, purge it. We should just be able to emit here. We're going to change this a little bit so that it reads each line individually, but we'll have to fit it in somewhere here. Okay. Where do we put that? So this is the entire file contents. And we have the file path, so now we know whether it is a CSV or a TXT. Fuck off. All right. If the file exists, we're still going to get catalog. Catalog name is handled differently. If file path dot ends with txt. Again, we're being hacky here. This is not. We're not going to be dealing with it this way. We're only going to do anything with it if it ends with txt or CSV. We don't need to do this twice. Once again, hacky solution, temporary solution. Just in case I have the text a little bit different. We don't want to care whether it's capitalized or not, so we're going to capitalize it so that this lines up. Fun fact, you should do this instead of to upper. If you don't, there are particular languages where uppercase doesn't work how you would expect. I think Turkish is one of them, where things are a bit different. You're like, uppercasing T might not get you uppercase T in the same way. You might get a slightly different ASCII code than you want, or Unicode value. I appreciate the intent of Unicode, but I'm also annoyed that they keep jamming emojis in Unicode. I feel like having a single Unicode value that says the following is an emoji, and then having expected logic for how to deal with following is an emoji should be enough. But here we are. Okay, if it's a text file, we just need to read the file. as is. All right. Explain this in a moment. Is txt or double pipe is CSV. The reason we do this is we don't want everything that follows is operations that say it's a valid file. So we're going to say if it's any one of these, and then if it is in particular one of the ones we want. Do we do two string comparisons when we run into this? Yes. Eventually we won't have to. Hacks. So we have the full line in this case. File stream, actually. Should be the path that we can give it. Just give it a path. Add this elsewhere. There. File. Not reader.ends of stream. If not reader.end of stream, we're going to wrap this whole thing in that, because the first thing we're going to do is reader.readline. Can I do async here? Oh, wait. Dispose. Okay, well. We're reading each line at a time. So we get the line, line.split on comma split options. Zero, 1, 2. So it looks like bit field. But we're just going to do trim entries here. We don't want to trim out empties here. We could. I do. No. Okay. How do we merge? Actually, it's an enum type, isn't it? Okay, it sounds like we're going to need a different object. Hey there, Ob. Oh. A bitwise combination of the enumeration values. Okay, we should be able to split options. Not entries. Can we OR it together? Okay, why don't you like? Doing a quick internet check here. Okay, bitwise OR. There we go. Wrong OR. This makes a value which is the combination of the bits in these bit fields, as opposed to a logical OR, which is it will return a Boolean if any of these are true, essentially. Okay, so we have line values. Each. Okay, the first two, we're actually going to do a for loop on this. So let's talk this through in a moment. Line values, length, I plus is equals 2. We have a constant for that, fixed column. Okay, so we're going to have a if before this, but we're going to start at the fixed column point because everything before that is special. We don't parse that the same way. And we're going to jump by 2s because, again, everything after the fixed ones are key value pairs. So if they don't show up in 2s, we don't care. Or they won't parse right, however. If line values is greater than or equal to that. Then now we have a line, like, now we can parse it. So now we're going to get the fixed values, key values here. If it's not long enough, then it's a bad line. We don't have our, if this isn't true, we don't have our fixed values. Actually, we're going to trim entries, but we're not going to remove empties. We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to add extra error handling if it's empty. If it is an empty string, there's a problem. But we don't want to trim them because there is the possibility that the two front columns are empty, and we don't want the key value columns to slide over in their place. Zero string type is equal to line values 1. And the length is greater than 0. We may continue. What? Being helpful again. Predictive text is great until it's not. And then it's awful. Okay, we have valid, ID, and type. Fun thing, a lot of times people will write ID as fully capitalized I and D, but it's not an acronym, it's an abbreviation. It's identifier. So at most, only the I would be capitalized. Being pedantic for the win. Okay, so here we are going to have a string that we create here. We have a string that we create here. could... No, we can't merge it cleanly. Well, we can, actually. Okay. It's a list of strings. These are going to be the line, not line values. There, our first one is name and then type. JSON values, add. We're going to pass in ID, but it's not just ID. Actually, we're going to get the ID out of it, so we know what 0 is. Otherwise, we pass in the line. We pass in the values. Only need to know the values array. If we get this far, then the assumption is that it's valid. Static. Okay. So we have values. We know what its name is. We don't need the name here. We need the type in everything subsequent. If, just going to verify values dot length is greater than 1. There. We need this to be true so that there is a type value. You want values. And type. Has to be a valid type to continue. So now we're getting the JSON values. Let's check our type key. Okay. We're going to get our wrap in quotes. Go to static. So JSON values, add, oh, not adding type. We are adding something else here. Create key value line. Wrap in quotes. And this is going to be our type key. Comma, our type. Let's make sure that's correct. Data folder, any item will do. Type needs to be wrapped in quotes. Yeah, I think we could do some reflection on this, but that would require extra song and dance, which we are not going to do. Okay. So this is going to constantly do comma value each time. But we don't need to do that initially because the first, we're adding them to the list because we're going to merge the string and we're going to add commas to it. Maybe comma new line, but we'll see if we have to. And I plus 1. It's less than line values dot length. Okay. The adjustment to that was because we are moving in pairs, so we always have to have a pair for us to add a value. If we don't have a pair, it doesn't count. So now we are going to do the same thing again. So we're going to wrap in quotes the key, which is going to be line values I. Then we are going to take whatever line values I plus 1 is and add it there as is. Okie doke. So now we have created a list technically we don't need to do .add here because we could build it into the string creation here, but anyway. So the value is never listed in quotes because we're always going to put it there, and we don't need a risk surface for you not putting the key in quotes. Same with type. type will always be entered in quotes, but if a type doesn't have quotes, it's a problem. We could add some trimming here to remove them if they're present. So then to return is equal to string dot join that. Okay, we are creating a string which is a combination of each of the entries in the list. So we convert the list into an array here, or treat it as an array. We're going to do comma here. So now we have a comma delimited set of key value pairs as a string. So we have our convert line to JSON. So whenever we read a line here, if it's a CSV, we now have our line values. We get our ID. Everything after this part, we're going to handle in this. Is our line values, like so. JSON string is equal to JSON string. Oh, you know what? We can do this here. If we get this far, we should have an ID and a type. If we get a null here, it's bad. So this should be a valid JSON string. So we're all the way down here. We've converted to JSON. If the JSON string inside here, JSON string dot length is greater than 0. It should be greater than or equal to 2. If you get this far, then this should be true. But we're making sure. I could just put greater than 0 here. Yeah, let's just put greater than 0. It's clearer. It is not an empty string. Then what we're going to do is like this. We are going to say contents.add. So this is reading it as a JSON already. The text files are JSON. We are making JSON by doing this. Okay. Okay. build the solution to see if I have any like typos or anything. So Godot has a mutex. Here's the disambiguation there. Okay, so what we did is create an alias here, where we're saying that for the purposes of this file, when we say mutex, we mean the one in system.threading, because there is a mutex that exists in Godot. We're not using that one. For the purposes of our C#, wherever possible, we are not referencing Godot code. Because we don't need to. And if we don't need to, we're not gonna. File, we convert to JSON. Static. Async. We're going to see if we can do an async here. So we're always going to do this for a CSV. So what it needs is a file path when it gets that. Would add to content, so we need to return I will leave that as is. Eventually this will be the entirety of the file, so that's okay. Build it. Okay. So then we are going to, in our base catalog, it's /, yeah. Okay. It did not explode. So now we're just gonna check here and see what we get if we get to this line. Okay, we never reached that line. About this line. Reach that line. Okay, there are no files. I know why. Oh, wait, we can't do that. We can't do that. Nope, 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 nope. It's going to be string. Comma. R dot CSV. Yeah, not exploding is good. That's our baseline show. That's our baseline. And we done exploded. Okay, we need to wait for this. Let's close that. We need to set up a wait for that. That shouldn't be possible. Because line value length is 0. I is 0. And I plus 1. Let's... Nope. Params. When in doubt, more params. How? Oh. 1. Plus 2 is not what we were checking. I don't like how long it's taking. That's not good. I don't like that. Pause. We're in base catalog load. We are spinning there in add to catalog. All of them are waiting to write. Okay, so there's something about the CSV that is wrong. For one, we're going to short circuit it. But first, let's... When we're in our catalog file reader and we're reading the lines for the CSV, convert a line to JSON. After that, check and length is greater than 0. Okay, if we increment I and either of these values are empty, we are going to stop processing. If we hit, actually, if we hit an empty key, if there is no key, just stop. If there is an empty value, it is still possible that that's valid. No, that wouldn't be valid. Okay, so now we can do this because when you're doing an AND, we do not proceed with the AND if the prior one was false. So we know by getting to here that the array is big enough for us to check these values. So we can then subsequently check that. So this will short circuit it. We're going to get to here. I want to see if we get to here. Okay, we are going to step over. We might have a problem with this because I'm seeing extra quotes. Yeah, I'm seeing double quotes. That's not right. And then key value, key value. Have extra. That's why. We are double wrapping the key. The key should always just be passed as is. Okay. Okay. Taking quite a while. It shouldn't take that long. We're going to break on that again and we're going to keep going. I want to see what happens when it gets to the JSON parse. or comma separated. I don't know if we actually need new lines to be JSON valid. Okay, that's a first problem here. Should be entering it as ID. We get this far. Explosion and okay, bullet explosion. We should see 64, 64, rotate to face true, loop animation false. Okay. Board frozen. How you work. A problem. Something might be broken here, so there's probably going to be a cutout in the sound in a moment. Voice meter has started misbehaving. Getting there. Getting there. Bear with me. So the way that we're composing the string is wrong. I think I need to do this. Okay. So part of it was this. I'm not adding a string. I am I'm adding characters. I'm adding individual letters. So I want the quote character. I do not want you to merge in a string that contains a quote. There's definitely going to be differences in that. So let's see. See if we can get the cat cams functioning again. Little hiccup. For reference, my whole PC crashed. It had to reboot. I think we're 2 for 2 this week, aren't we? I don't think we didn't blow it up last week, did we? Or last time? Wasn't it the time before we blue screened it? I think it was the time before last. Okay. To return. We need the slash quote. Where are we doing our merge? Still be spinning on that. Okay, yeah, it's failing on the one that we're generating. Is bullet explosion. Spin. Don't know if it's gonna like that still. Don't think that was the actual problem. JCR, I crashed my computer on something. Okay, okay. What is that value? Oh, my bad. Sorry, folks. CSV data. Separated. Okay, we are saying data textures bullet explosion. Ah, okay, yeah, we changed that name. Textures bullet sprite bullet explosion. Close it. Run again. Move that break. Ta-da! CSV is working. Reduce the numbers so we're more likely to see anything happen here. Okay, we are getting rotate to face. You can see the explosions are happening at slightly different angles now and again. Okay, okay. I think we have made sufficient progress for the day. I think we've made sufficient progress for the day. Calling it a win. We got a win, and I am declaring victory. Before all the charge runs out on my various bits of hardware here. But progress today. So we got the extra loading in, and we've actually got the CSV loading wired in. A subsequent task for me, we might end up doing it on stream, but we'll see, is to convert all of my existing JSON files into lines in the CSV. That will let me do fun things like sort and find everything in one file instead of rooting around in subfolders. So we'll see how that works out. I may also add some extra stuff that is parsed in it, as well as some calculations on the file. I don't know how much we'll have to fiddle with, but we'll see. We'll see how much I can add to it. But for the time being, good times, good times. I hope you all had fun watching with us today. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to like, follow, subscribe, drop a comment, all of that stuff. It's good for the channel. If you'd like to consider supporting the channel, you can do so through monetarily supporting the channel. You can do so through the platform-specific methods such as Twitch subs and YouTube memberships, as well as platforms like Patreon and Ko-fi. There are links to the various channels and whatnot in the link tree if you'd like to find them. But with all that said, I hope the rest of your day is good, and I'll see you next time.